Hey everyone, and welcome back to HTML series. We have learned that HTML tags and elements are the essential building blocks of a web page, like the foundation and walls of a house. But what about the windows, the doors, and the color of the paint? How do we give our tags an extra life and functionality? Let's take a simple element like an ordered list. You know how to add one to your page, but can you change the order of your list or display your list in reverse order? Yes, that's where HTML attributes come in. We can do all this and many more using attributes. We'll learn a little bit about what attributes are in previous video. Let's look into it in more depth using examples in this video. So, what can you expect to take away from this video? First, we will make sure you have a solid understanding of what attributes are and how they work. Then, we will tackle a fundamental concept, the difference between global and element specific attributes. Finally, we'll talk about the real power of attributes, their role in making your web pages more semantic and understandable. We'll end the video with a few simple tasks for you to reinforce everything we have learned today. Let's take a simple ordered list. By default, it gives you numbers starting from 1. But what if we want a list to start at 5 instead of 1? We can do that with an attribute namely start. See how easy that is. As you can see, attributes are simply name value pairs that we place inside the opening tag of an HTML element. The syntax is always the same. The only exception to the name value pair is if the attribute is a Boolean attribute. These attributes acts as a simple on-off switch. Instead of writing true or false for its value, you simply add the attribute name to indicate true and omit it to indicate false. An example is the reverse attribute in an ordered list. Adding this attribute is an indication that the list order should be reversed. See how simple that is. Now, for a quick quiz, what do you think will be the outputs of the code below? Do they all behave the same or differently? Pause the video and give it a thought. Are you ready to see the answer? All of this will result in the list being reversed. When it comes to a Boolean attributes, the only way to indicate false is to remove the attribute completely. Next, let's see an important classification. Attributes can be categorized into two main types based on where they can be used. First, global attributes. These are the powerhouses. They can be used on any HTML element, from a simple paragraph to a complex form. Next, element specific attributes. These attributes are only applicable to a specific HTML element. For example, the two attributes we have just learned, the start and the reverse attributes, they only work on the ordered list. Let's dive into the most common global attributes you will use. Let's start with the ID attribute. Let's say if our task is to make the first paragraph green and the second one blue. We need a way to give each paragraph a unique identity. This is where the ID attribute comes in. Think of an ID as an employee or student ID. It's a unique name you give to a single element on your page. No two elements should ever have the same ID. Now we have given each paragraph a unique identifier. This ID acts as a label, making it easy for other languages like CSS or JavaScript to find and work with this specific element. The primary role of the ID attribute is to uniquely identify an element. Once an element has an ID, it becomes incredibly useful for targeting for styling. While we don't dive into deeply about CSS here, just know that CSS uses these IDs to apply specific styles to a single element. Next, let's look at the class attribute. If ID is absolute unique identity, then class is about grouping elements. It is an attribute that allows you to assign a shared label to multiple HTML elements. Let's use an example. Imagine you have 50 poems on your web page, and they should all look the same. Using the individual IDs for each poem would mean applying the same style to each one, leading to a lot of repetitive work. However, with class, we can give them all the same class name like poetry. Now, this class name acts as a group label. We can tell our styling language CSS to apply a specific look, like text in a gray, italic and bold, to everything that belongs to the poetry class. This makes our code much cleaner and easier to manage. Remember, you can only use an ID value once, but you can use the same class name as many times as you want. Now, let's see some important rules that apply to both ID and class names. They must be at least one character long. They cannot contain any spaces. They are case sensitive. So, these two are different. To avoid confusion, always use unique names. that don't just differ by a case. Another very common and useful global attribute you should know about is title. Have you ever hovered your cursor over a word and a little secret message pops up? That is called a tooltip. This effect is created using the title attribute. It is perfect for explaining an abbreviation or adding an extra context. Now, with this example, when a user hovers over the word HTML, a tooltip will appear giving the full name. So far, we have focused on powerful global attributes like ID, class, and title. But remember that other tags have their own unique element-specific attributes. For example, when we get to the images, you will learn about src and alt attributes, which are crucial for displaying and describing the images. These attributes are specifically designed to give those elements their core functionality. The world of HTML attributes is vast, and you don't need to memorize them all. That's why I want to show you the best resource for a developer, the MDN. This is the ultimate reference guide. It lists all the attributes, and you can click on any element's name to see a detailed list of all the global and element specific attributes it supports. I highly encourage you to use this resource throughout your coding journey. Attributes are not just for looks, they are crucial for semantic markup, which makes your web page understandable to both search engines and assistive technologies. A great example is the language attribute, which tells a screen reader what language the content is in, so it can pronounce it correctly. Remember to always use attributes by keeping their true meaning in mind. It makes your code cleaner, accessible, and more professional. Now, it is your turn to put what you have learned into practice. Here are a few challenges for you. Don't worry, they are designed to be fun and reinforce everything we have covered. Create a simple About Me page with a unique ID to your main heading along with a shared class name to all your paragraphs. And try adding a title attribute to one of your paragraphs with a fun fact about yourself. Next, create a simple ordered list of 3 tasks. Use the start attribute to make the list begin with a number other than 1. Then, for the first task on your list, use the disabled attribute to show that the task can't be completed. Finally, head over to the MDN HTML attribute reference page. Find the type attribute. What are the different values it can have, and on which elements can this attribute be used? Tell us what you find in the comments below. As a bonus, we have posted a quick quiz on our community tab about what you have learned today. Head over there to test your knowledge and see if you can get them all right. That's it for this video. You now know what attributes are, the difference between the ID and class attributes, and how they make your HTML page so much powerful. If you have any questions, please leave them in comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more HTML tips. Until next time, happy coding!